produced yourself 10 kilowatt hours. Now, when we talk about battery storage, guys, this Powerwall 3 right here is a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery. Most of you are going to experience it with a 10 kilowatt inverter. So you can take 10 kilowatts out of it at once, and it holds 13.5 kilowatt hours. Does that make sense? Give it to me. Does it make sense? Yeah, awesome. That is one of the most powerful things that so many solar companies still don't even get right in their own marketing. They don't understand, or they can't be bothered to properly go through what is a kilowatt and what is a kilowatt hour. So guys, if there's one thing you take away, I hope that is it. Let's rip in. Bit of rock music would be nice right now, don't you reckon? We'd probably sing or something. So that's an overview of the Powerwall 3. Do any of you guys have a Tesla car here? Raise your hands for a Tesla car. So you guys are lucky enough that you've experienced the Tesla Home app, which integrates into your life so seamlessly. We'll touch on it a bit later on. This here is a photo from December 2016, and I want to just touch on it to explain why I think that I have the authority to stand here in front of you tonight and tell you about Powerwall 3 and tell you why I think it is one of the most fantastic batteries, one of the most innovative batteries, one of the most world-changing batteries that we are ever going to see. This here is an install of one of Australia's first Powerwall 1 installations in December 2016. December 2016 was a time where Powerwall 1 was in Australia. There wasn't that many installations going on of one battery. There was even less installations going on of 2 batteries. But that right there is 3 Tesla Powerwall 1s. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that took me about 6 days to install with my first ever apprentice Jory. Powerwall 1s were slow, you know. They were hard to install. It was the unknown. No one was doing batteries then. You didn't even need a different license or an accreditation to do a battery then. It was just the beginning and the forefront of battery storage. I remember speaking to my apprentice Jory, who, if you're lucky enough to cross paths with Jory, he's one of our installation managers now, and he's been with me for 10 years. And Jory would say, "Jake, these are so hard." And I just kept saying, "Jory, I promise you there is a better day coming for batteries. Batteries will become easier, they'll become faster, they'll become the new normal." And fast forward to today, with a team of almost 100 highly talented electricians, solar designers, accounts, service departments that would make the Apple Store want to poach them. This is where we stand. We stand at the forefront of technology. We are, some would say, lucky, but I'll tell you right now, luck is merely opportunity meeting preparation. And I'm here to tell you that my team have prepared themselves for the last 10 years to ensure that we deliver this Powerwall 3 to the utmost highest level possible. I promise you, I will look each and every single one of you in the eyes and tell you that there will be no one in Australia who will do this better than Penrith Solar Centre. Here's what we're going to go over tonight. So we're going to learn about the Powerwall 3, and Steve from Tesla is here, and I'll bring him up in 1 second. We are going to go through design considerations, the rebates available around Powerwall 3 now that we have a battery rebate kicking off in just 2 days. And we're going to go over the deal of a lifetime, probably the reason why you're all here. So, without further ado, I'd like to invite Steve Taronge, he's going to kill me for saying that wrong, up on the stage. Steve's from Tesla. He's head of sales for New South Wales. Give it up for Steve.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks for trying with my name. It's Tourangeau. It's French. From Montreal, Canada. But yeah, super happy to be here. Been here for a while now, so I probably shouldn't be talking about that anymore. Anyways, yeah, thanks, Jake. Super happy to be here again. And yeah, let's jump in. So as many of you guys know, at Tesla, our mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And we want to thank you guys for being here tonight and being a part of that journey. We've seen before that many of you guys already have solar. We even have a couple of Tesla owners in the crowd in terms of the vehicle. And we're hoping that tonight we can show you what the Powerwall 3 can achieve for you guys and how it can also help with the sustainable economy that we're trying to build out here. So globally, we consume about 165 petawatt hours a year. Now, that's a lot. To give you guys an example, if we were to look at it from Australia's perspective, it would take us about 604 years to consume that amount of energy. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that 80% of that energy comes from fossil fuels, and if you look at it from a sustainability perspective, we waste a lot of that energy. Through end-use efficiency, if we can electrify the economy, the problem statement will actually halve. So if we take the petrol vehicle, for example, by the time you take the oil out of the ground, you refine it, you transport it, you pump it into your car at the gas station, you turn your car on, a lot of that energy is actually wasted through heat. So because this is not the case with an electrified product, that problem statements actually have to 82 petawatt hours a year of global consumption. And according to our maths, this means that we need 240 terawatt hours of storage and 30 terawatt hours of renewable power. And so what are the factors driving electrification? Well, we've got, of course, the electric vehicle uptake, as some of you guys have them in the crowd, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are, thinking about it. We're seeing an increase in PV system size. So, the cost of solar has gone down dramatically, and the cost of electricity is going up. And because of this, we're seeing the average system size grow. So just a few years ago, about 2-3 years ago, the average system size in Australia was about 6.6 kilowatts. And now we're pushing just over the 9 mark and even getting close to 10 as the average. We're seeing the electrification of home, of course. So many of us are moving away from gas heating to electricity and powering all of our appliances, or getting all electric appliances, I should say. Virtual power plant uptake is also really big here in Australia. So with Tesla, our Powerwall fleet is actually 30% of our fleet is connected to a virtual power plant. And we're going to dive into that a bit more further into the presentation. But with the Powerwall 3, it becomes actually a much more compelling argument with regards to the virtual power plants. And so repowering the electrical grid from a residential energy perspective, what does that look like? Well, it's quite simple, really. It's a Powerwall, right? So your storage system, solar panels. You're going to have an electric vehicle, of course, and a wall connector or a charger to charge your electric vehicle. And then all of this, of course, would lead to a cleaner grid. And so when designing the Powerwall 3, we really had to think, what's going to get us there? And so we've built it up across these 4 key pillars, which is best performance, scalable installations, most durable product, and best value. So best performance, as Jake touched on it before, through more continuous power. Scalable installations. So if we have a product that's easier to install, essentially it means that it's going to bring the installation costs down. So those savings are passed on to you guys, the end users. But also a product that's easier to install means there's less chance of error, and it becomes a more reliable product. Most durable. We'll touch on that a bit further down in the presentation as well, but it was really important for us to build a product that was great for all markets, as this is really something that we want to be bringing out globally. And then best value, of course, is a sum of its parts, right? So best performance, scalable installations, most durable equals best value. And so looking into the Powerwall 3 a little bit more, what does it look like? Well, effectively, you can couple up to 20 kilowatts of solar panels. With that 20 kilowatts, you can charge the battery at up to 5 kilowatts. So we've capped it at 5 kilowatts for the battery's health, as of course we have longevity in the back of our minds. And then you can continuously power your house with up to 10 kilowatts of power. Now 10 kilowatts of power, what does that look like? Well, it's enough to power most loads. So whether that's your washer and dryer, your fridge, we really want to have something that can power all of the appliances. If you look at some other batteries, you can turn something on like a kettle. As you guys can see at the top there, the kettle is 3,000 watts, which is, for some batteries, that's too much, right? That's it. And so if you're going to be investing in a battery, we think it's really important to take into consideration the performance of that battery, both from a continuous power standpoint, but also from the kilowatt hours of storage. You want to have something that can actually take you through the night. And so more power however you use it. We've got more power here that you can use through your backup protection. So we no longer have to have those conversations about what we're putting on the backup phase or what we're not putting. With the Powerwall 3, we've made the calculations, and about 95% of Australian households will be able to have full home backup for single-phase sites. We've got Stormwatch as well. So if in the event that an outage occurs, you can now have, of course, more loads that you're going to be going through with, and charge on solar, of course, as well. So we can now charge a Tesla Model 3 or a Model Y at full capacity. Retail tariff optimization and virtual power plants as well. It's very similar in terms of the more power you have, it means the more money you can make when it's time to sell that energy, right? And we can, of course, monitor and optimize everything through the Tesla app, which gives you complete control. We have some Tesla owners in the back who probably have a good idea of what the Tesla app looks like from a motors perspective, but from an energy perspective, there is a few key differences that I'd like to talk about. So over here, you can see the home screen. With the home screen, you can see how much power your solar is generating at any given moment, how much power is going to the house, to the Powerwall, or to the grid. You can then tap on your impact. If you tap on impact, you'll be able to have a look at what percentage of your household is running off solar or running off the battery. You can jump out of there, go into settings, and then in settings you can toggle your Stormwatch feature on. So for those of you who don't know, Stormwatch is essentially Tesla working with the weather network, so that if you have that toggled on and there's a storm that's incoming, the Powerwall will charge from any means necessary to make sure that it has as much energy as possible to take you through the storm. So it'll even charge from the grid at that standpoint. It's really about charging it and having the most available power for you. You can also set up your backup reserve as well. And in settings, you can also set your time of use mode. So you can just enter in your retail rates for the different times of the day, the different seasons, and the Powerwall's algorithm will charge and discharge intelligently to give you the best financial outcome. It was also important, as we mentioned earlier, to build a product that was going to be useful for all climates. So I don't know if some of you guys have seen the pictures around from our launch event back in August, but we essentially had the Powerwall 3 installed in a fish tank. Don't try this at home. But we had it about waist deep into a fish tank. It is IP67 rated, so you can install it indoors or outdoors without having to worry. And really, the idea was to make sure that we can install this, again, globally, right? So whether it's in the Rocky Mountains of Canada, whether it's the humidity of Thailand or the heat of Australia, you can rest assured that the Powerwall 3 can operate in all of these different climates. And we can achieve this through it being actively fan-cooled as well. And it's also built in an aluminum enclosure, which acts as a heat sink and really dissipates that heat. Another step change with the Powerwall 3 is that we've now implemented heat mode, which is very similar to what we have in our vehicles, where if you're routing to a supercharger in a Tesla vehicle, the battery will start to preheat its cells, so that by the time you get to the supercharger, the battery is at its optimal temperature to charge as fast as possible. And so the same is happening with the Powerwall 3. The difference is with the Powerwall 3, we're of course not going to a supercharger, but we're taking the last 7 days of data to make sure that as soon as the sun hits the panels in the morning, the cells have already preheated to be able to absorb that at the maximum capacity. And we've got a little video here for you guys showing us the Gigafactory in Nevada. And so you can see here that we can build these, of course, at scale. We're building one every 25 seconds. And to give you guys an idea, that's about 700,000 Powerwalls a year. Now, Jake was talking about, in 2016, the Powerwall 1s. And since 2016, we've created 750,000 Powerwalls around the globe. And now we're producing this per year. And this is because we're really confident that the value proposition in the Powerwall 3 is going to be what's going to take us from the early adopters to the early majority. It's really our Model 3 moment on the energy side of the business. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that we're producing these at scale that we're compromising on the quality. So we still do testing on the cellular, modular, and system level. With that being said, I'd like to welcome Jake back to the stage.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Steve.
Jake.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Cheers. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
So Powerwall 3 was truly built to power everything. As Steve just mentioned, it's the first battery of its kind where there is an inbuilt inverter that can be used for solar or for AC output. So for those of you who do already have a solar system or one of our Enphase systems, you'll actually be able to connect this battery to your home and get up to 10 kilowatts of AC power out of this battery. Now, there are so many other features of this Powerwall, but first I want to take us back to the evolution of Powerwall and explain why I think that this is such a groundbreaking battery. So Powerwall 1 on the far left, it was essentially a battery pack that got bolted to a wall. We needed a third-party inverter to charge the battery, and it was DC coupled only. It only worked with SMA Sunny Boy storage and SolarEdge RWS units. And what would happen is we would install these batteries, they wouldn't communicate very well, and it was safe to say there was so much work to be done. Fast forward to 2017 when the Powerwall 2 was launched. Powerwall 2 from 2017 up until the moment Powerwall 3 was released was the greatest battery on the market. It is a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery. It's got a 5 kilowatt charge and discharge rate with a peak of 7 kilowatts. And those Powerwalls that you see right there on our shelf, they're our last Powerwall 2s that we will ever have. And they are for clients who already have Powerwall 2s and are thinking about expanding their storage. But Powerwall 2 was also a game changer in its own rights. It was the first time we could actually install a battery in a day, commission it in a day, and with the Powerwall 2 come the all-new homeowner app, which has developed over time, but it is still the current app that Powerwall uses today. Now we have Powerwall 3. The biggest and most groundbreaking thing about Powerwall 3 is it is the first time that we've ever had a battery that has solar input. It completely bypasses the need to have an external solar inverter. This means we can service these batteries better through PowerHub. Our service department have great visibility over this product. It makes it more cost-effective for homeowners, and it gives you greater ability to have more PV on your roof. In Australia, when you have a DC-coupled system or a hybrid inverter like what is in the Powerwall 3, you can claim STCs, which is your government rebate on panels, which I'll touch on shortly, up to 200% oversized. So if you do have a 10 kilowatt inverter in your Powerwall 3, we can actually put 20 kilowatts of panels on that inverter. This means in winter, there is not going to be a time where you don't have enough solar to charge your batteries. And in summer, your batteries will be charged really, really early, and you'll have more energy available to use throughout the rest of your home. Powerwall 3 is the most durable battery, IP67 for most of the battery. There is not another battery on the market that is IP67. As you can see here on the launch event, Tesla showcased the battery in 600 mil or so of water, which certainly caught a lot of attention. And, that's kind of valuable for us because a lot of our clients do live along the Hawkesbury River or in areas where mild flooding can happen. We've all got that sideway down the side of our house where you think, should I put a battery there? Will it flood? Will it not flood? Well, Powerwall 3 alleviates the worry to have a battery that's going to flood. If the flood is above the battery, we have bigger problems. The battery performs in negative 20 degrees Celsius up to 50 degrees Celsius, and anything over that, it derates and brings itself down to a level that it can operate at. So it is one of the biggest temperature operating ranges of a battery. If you live in the mountains and you have those mornings that are they're not negative 20, but they will be cold, the battery's still going to be able to get up and show up for the day. The battery, like Steve mentioned, has a feature called heat mode, so that if it does have a temperature in the negatives or even low degrees, it will bring itself up to around 20 degrees where it can operate efficiently. So using the energy to heat the battery up is actually more efficient than letting the battery run cold. So it's gotten smarter. Powerwall 2 and no other battery on the market has ever had that feature. The other part that I will touch on quickly on most durable is that the Powerwall 3 is one of the only batteries where if you install it in sunlight, the warranty is not void. There are other batteries on the market where if you do install them outdoors, even if they are IP rated or they are installed in direct sunlight, you'll find your warranty will be derated or in some cases even void. Tesla advertises that you can put this battery anywhere around your home. Now, of course, you can't actually put it anywhere around your home. There are installation rules that we must adhere to. For example, if we're putting a battery in a garage now, you'll find it very tricky to get away without installing a bollard in front of your battery. That is a restriction that we have. We now need to have smoke alarms inside garages. This is a whole new standard that has been recently released. So there are some rules that will dictate where batteries go in your homes. We do not put them within 600 mil of a window that goes onto a livable area. And in some cases, we even have to put additional material behind the battery when we mount the battery. So they are things to take into consideration with design and all things that we cater for in-house as well. Power through a storm. The Tesla Powerwall 3 with its 10 kilowatt inbuilt inverter and features like Stormwatch mean that you can sit there off-grid almost indefinitely. The Powerwall 3 will actually keep your solar operating in times of blackout. So does anyone, hands up if you have a single-phase home, or maybe you don't know. Does anyone know they have a single-phase home? So single-phase homes, historically, you've been able to have less solar than three-phase homes. But you do have one very, very great unique advantage over a three-phase home with the Powerwall 3, and that is in 95% of cases, we can give you whole home backup. This means that if the grid goes down, your system can essentially sit there off-grid, meaning your panels will wake up in the morning, charge your battery will become fully charged, the system will ramp down, and only supply energy to the home. That is the art of the Powerwall 3 with blackout protection. Now, of course, if you have a three-phase home, you do still have the same backup. However, we don't back up the whole home. The Powerwall 3 is a single-phase battery. What we do is we install the battery on one of the phases of your home and we monitor and meter the other phases to know through what we call net metering when the battery should be charging and when the battery should be discharging. In a blackout scenario, there's a product called the Gateway. The Gateway is the mini-looking Powerwall, which we don't actually have on display here, but there are hundreds of them on the shelf. The Gateway has a 200 amp contactor in it. And what happens is when the grid goes out, that 200 amp contactor disconnects you from the grid. You've got to think, if the grid's down and your battery's supplying you power, what's stopping it from supplying your neighbors with power? We don't want that. We only want to supply our house. So that contactor will open and it will constantly monitor the grid, waiting for the grid to come back on. When the grid does come back on, there's around a 60-second countdown time before the battery and the grid will resync, and then you can go back to exporting power or importing power if you needed to. So three-phase, we are backing up approximately 1/3 of your home. You do get to pick your favorite circuits. We always recommend lights, we recommend the internet for the kids, and power circuits, of course, for TV and internet. But we don't recommend things like air conditioning or ovens. Unless you still have a gas oven or a gas hot water, then maybe you'd want to put the power point of the gas hot water on so you still have hot water. But if you have an electric hot water system, we don't normally recommend to back those up on a 3-phase home. Flexibility on roof. One of the biggest and most groundbreaking changes about this inbuilt inverter in the Powerwall 3 is that it actually has 3 MPPTs, or as we call them in the solar world, 3 trackers. Now, I'm sure a lot of you in the room have our N-phase microinverters, and I'm here to tell you that there is no inverter on the roof better than an N-phase microinverter. But Powerwall 3 now has 3 trackers, and the gap has certainly closed. What 3 trackers means is we can have panels across more roofs than what we have historically been able to have with a normal string inverter. With a normal string inverter, it usually only has 2 trackers. So you might have panels on a western face and panels on a northern face. With Powerwall 3, you can now have panels across 3 different distinct faces, but it gets better. Some of the specs here, which can be a little overwhelming, but I'm going to break them down for you now and tell you what they mean. And one of the big ones that I want to point out is the row second from the bottom. Maximum short circuit current of 30 amps. Solar panels are around 50 volts, the ones we use at the moment, around 50 volts and around 14 amps. Now, when you times those together, your volts times your amps, you get power. What we can do with Powerwall 3 is it has 3 high power trackers. This is a restriction of most string inverters on the market. There's only 1 high power tracker and the rest are only low power. Powerwall 3 is so flexible with its design that you could actually have panels across up to 6 different tilts and orientation on your Powerwall 3 with its triple tracker technology. With 3 trackers, it means the Powerwall 3 is less susceptible to shading issues as well. In the past, where we wouldn't have recommended to do a string inverter because maybe there was shading on a particular roof, it would have dragged down the panels on another roof. Powerwall 3 now has an extra tracker that can hopefully mitigate that for you. So Powerwall 3 is better in shaded conditions. It now has a lower startup voltage as well. So in the past, when we designed a string system, we would want to do a minimum of 6 panels per string. Now 6 panels per string, because 6 times 50 volts is around 300 volts. Most strings don't start up until around 250 volts. Powerwall 3 starts up far lower. Powerwall 3 can start with only 2 modules on a string. So if you had all your panels, most of your panels on 2 other roof faces, and you just wanted to put 2 somewhere else, you can actually do that with Powerwall 3. It is that flexible. So you can parallel strings, you can have 2 panels. It also has a really impressive 97% efficiency, even at minimum string lengths. This is what we call a round-trip efficiency of solar generation through the DC bus and into the battery. The max solar size, as Steve already mentioned, is 20 kilowatts DC. You all won't necessarily be able to have that, especially on a 3-phase home, depending on what DNSP you're in, which is our Endeavour Energies or our Ausgrids or our Essential Energies. But if you have a single-phase home, you absolutely, most time, will be able to have 20 kilowatts of DC on your roof, which is so much larger than what we were able to have before we got Powerwall 3. So Powerwall 3 is one thing Tesla's always been incredible at is its scalability. Some batteries on the market, you could do 1, you could maybe do 2. With Powerwall 2, you were able to do up to 10 batteries per site. So this meant that you could have 135 kilowatt hours of storage. That is a lot of storage. And personally, I've never installed a 10 Powerwall system. But Powerwall 3 has gone 1 step further. Actually, it's gone 6 steps further. So from today, you're able to buy and install on your home up to 4 of the Powerwall 3s with the inbuilt inverters. So they've got the inbuilt inverter. You can do that. You can stay below the grid limit of 30 kilowatts if you have 2 of them programmed at 5 kilowatts and the other 2 at 10, which keeps in our phase imbalancement rule. And then in the future, what you're going to be able to do and for those single-phase homes, this is important for you as well, is you're going to be able to put DC expansion units on. So Tesla have made a unit that is exactly the same as the Powerwall 3, but without the inverter. So we can now come back in Q1 2025 or next year or beyond, or when your family grows up, when the kids start playing the PlayStation and leaving the lights on, or if you buy yourself that electric vehicle that you always wanted, we will be able to come back and very easily add on more storage. It'll be that simple, you could nearly, I won't say it, you can't do it yourself, but it will be so simple that it will take us around 2 hours to install the extra module. This is going to be extremely cost effective to do. It is going to be so simple. It's going to be infinitely expandable. Even on a single phase home, you're going to be able to do so many extra units, more than what you could do right now. You can add so many units that on a residential property, you could have 216 kilowatt hours of storage. That's enough to power like a whole street. It is so much energy. The other things that Powerwall has, which is going to give us the ability to install this so efficiently. Can I have that trolley, please, Steve? Powerwall, well, Tesla. Does anyone know how heavy a Powerwall 2 is? Anyone got an answer? Yell it at me, go. 130? Powerwall 2, yeah, 130, 125. Anyone know Powerwall 3? 130. They're 130 kilos. Something had to be done because those boys up there, they're strong, but we've got to be careful. Tesla have developed, and this is really exciting for me, this trolley. So the Powerwall gets strapped on the front. The drill attaches to the back, and we actually now lift the Powerwall without any or very minimal manual handling. This means safer installations. It means more care taken around your home. It means our team members are coming back safer. We're able to do more installs because we're looking after them. This is a product that is going to allow us to install Powerwall in more areas. In the past, where we may have said no to lifting a battery above a certain height, this product has allowed us to do it. So I wanted to show you that. They've even put disc brakes on the wheels to control this dolly. It's a really impressive piece of kit. And we actually have one for every truck. So you'll see that on site. You know, if you've got a Powerwall 3, it's so simple. If you're going to put it in the garage, you clear the area in front, you have the Powerwall on it, and you just wheel it on in. It's really a groundbreaking piece of kit. So let's talk about what's in the box. Did anyone like my deconstructed Powerwall? Tell me you like this. Give me something. Powerwall. So, oh, you want a round of applause? Let's go. So, for those who don't know, on our roof, we wrote Penrith Solar Centre in solar panels. It's 100 kilowatts. My whole team told me I was crazy. Like, Jake, we're not doing that. That is so hard. Guess the conversation I had yesterday with the team. I was like, guys, we're hanging a Powerwall 3 from a roof. And they're like, no, we're not. I was already out here with the chains, and it was up within an hour. And I just wanted to deconstruct this so that you guys could see exactly what comes in the case or in the box of a Powerwall 3. Has anyone noticed all these black crates up here? That's the first delivery of Powerwall 3s in Australia to us. That was 60 that come in today, like literally just before you guys started rocking up. And we had these two a little earlier for our team training days. But I want to just point out what is exactly in the box of Powerwall 3 and why it is so game-changing. You see, one of the biggest problems in any business, but the irony of the problem that we have in renewable energy and in solar, is the amount of waste that we produce. Every single day, we have bins out the back getting picked up, taken away, and it's kind of embarrassing, the amount of waste that comes out of these battery boxes, panel pallets. We have to do something about it. And Tesla has done exactly that. What you see right there in those black packaging is reusable packaging. We pack them up and we send them back to Tesla so they can be used over and over and over again until they cannot be reused, and then they get recycled and they enter a new life. So that is absolutely groundbreaking for Tesla. There's minimal cardboard, there's almost no plastic. but there is certainly a beautiful Powerwall 3. So if you have a chance at the end of this, please feel free to come and have a look at this deconstructed Powerwall 3. The inside of it, you'll probably never really see it like this again in real life, to be honest. So you've got all your battery cells in the middle part. Up the top, you have what we call the taco, which is the control for the battery. On this right-hand side, you can play with it. There's a DC isolator, which is where your solar input will come if you do DC-coupled solar. Then, stepping up, we have the glass cover. So the front cover of the Tesla Powerwall 3 is glass. It is tempered glass. It is beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it's extremely durable as well. Now, you might think, oh, can it break? Yes, it can, but we can get new ones really easily. Don't stress about that. It's not easy to break. We tried. Above that, you've got the wall bracket. So that wall bracket, and this is literally how it comes out of the box. We take the top cover off on the ground, and Tesla have really thought about this. We have the wall bracket first and foremost. We get the wall bracket on your wall. Now, when we're mounting on brick or outside, we'll always want to get the battery off the ground. That's always our preference, unless you've got a good solid concrete slab below. The reason we always like to get the battery off the ground is so you can get a broom head under it, or so it's out of the way. Sometimes if it's ground mount outside, the ground might sort of give way over time. We like to get them off the ground. And historically, the other reason was because of flooding, which isn't too much of a problem now. If the battery was to go in the garage, we do like at 130 kilos to get the battery ground mounted. So the battery can be wall mounted or ground mounted. And ultimately, you have the last decision as to what happens at the guidance of our electricians, of course. Now, if your ground is unlevel, pay close attention to the bottom of the Powerwall. It actually has adjustable feet. Whereas in the past, with other batteries and Powerwall 2, we'd be putting packers under there to make sure that the battery stayed level. They've really thought about the design aspect here, and the adjustable feet mean that you can adjust the battery even if you have a footpath that's slightly dropping away. You can put the battery there, ground mount, if you wish. So Tesla have put such a large amount into this. The only other thing that's not hanging there is the air intake screen. The Powerwall 3, one of the big differences from Powerwall 3 to Powerwall 2 is Powerwall 3 is actually an air-cooled unit with fans. Powerwall 2 was a liquid-cooled battery. Now, they've done away with the liquid-cooled battery, and they have gone to the full natural cooling. It's got a huge heat sink in there, like what you can see if you come and have a play with it. And the bottom of the battery will actually have an air screen or an air filter. It is something that can be maintained and cleaned. It's designed to keep vermin and pests out of the battery so that you don't get geckos nesting up in there. If you live in the mountains, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So Tesla have really thought outside the box. The actual waste to be saved by having this enclosure is 21,000 metric tons of waste, 21,800 metric tons of waste. That is so much waste that's produced. So kudos to Tesla for coming up with that incredible initiative. The dolly, we just seen the dolly. We'll move on from there. The Powerwall 3 has unmatched aesthetics. Everything Tesla does is kind of like what we do. It's the best or nothing. You look through that car up the back and you open the doors. I want you to, and please do, feel free to have a look at it. Have a look at the vehicle. Shut the doors. Feel the quality of that vehicle. The Powerwall 3 is no different. And to go one step further, the wall connector up on that back wall next to the Powerwall 3 on display, that's how you charge your vehicle from home. That's the same as well. It's a tempered glass finish. It is beautiful. It's designed to integrate with your life. Realestate.com recently did an article. It was only a few months ago. They said that aesthetically pleasing solar and the brand name Tesla would fall into that bucket, will fetch prices higher than a house that doesn't. I'm not going to stand here and tell you can add 10% to the value of your property by installing solar. But a great, neatly installed solar system by people who have taken the time to get it spot on is certainly going to add value to your property and not take it away. And that is why a battery as well, like the Tesla Powerwall 3, would be a great addition to your home. Imagine opening your garage. Most of your garages have white walls. Mine certainly does. And you see like a white glass battery. Then imagine there's another one, and then you've got a car charger. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to open your garage and see. It's really, really impressive. And not only does it look good, but you're sitting there and you are living the electric lifestyle, not paying energy retailers. Not all energy retailers are evil, by the way, which you will learn in a second. Stay connected with PowerHub. So every single Powerwall that's installed actually has a SIM card inside of it. Most systems that we install at PSC are connected to the internet 24/7. And Powerwall is certainly no exception. Not only do we connect the Powerwall to Wi-Fi or via a data cable to your home internet connection, whether that be Starlink or whatever it is, but the Powerwall also has a 4G SIM card. Now, why is this important? This is important. Where is Trevor and Jack? Have we got Trevor and Jack up the back? Stand up, guys. Guys, I don't know if you've got a PSC system. These are our service heroes, right? I just want to give a quick round of applause to Trevor and Jack. Trevor and Jack do an incredible job of making sure that your system's online at all times. If you read our reviews, you'll find that around 30% of them actually come from our service department. It's not always from the upfront experience or the fantastic install. Sometimes it's a year down the track when you need help getting your system back online, and that is exactly what Trevor and Jack do. And this is why PowerHub and Powerwall 3 make it a little easier on Trevor and Jack. The fact that your system has a 4G SIM card in it means that we can see what's going on with it at all times. If you ever had a bill query, we can print reports. We can download data. In fact, we can even see your home's energy consumption patterns in real time. You could ring us and we could have a conversation about what is happening in your home. We can help diagnose loads. We can tell you if your hot water system is running too much. We can do all sorts of things through the power of PowerHub and, of course, our Enphase and Lighten portal that we have for our Enphase batteries as well. Every system that goes out the door of Penrith Solar Centre also has one of the most important features that every solar system in the world should have. And I'm sure some of you sitting in this room probably don't have it right now. How I describe this feature is like going to a car dealership and buying a car without a speedo. That would be crazy, right? No one would actually do that. Nobody should ever buy a solar system without consumption monitoring. Consumption monitoring is the very tool that gives you the power to take control of your energy habits at home. If you have ever heard someone say, I've got a solar system, I don't know if it works, we've all got that relative who sits there and says they don't believe in it, it doesn't work, they got ripped off, they don't know how much it's doing. And some of you are probably even sitting in this room right now. I bet my bottom dollar your system doesn't have consumption monitoring, because no one with consumption monitoring is ever left in the dark. Every single system we do with Tesla Powerwall 3 has consumption monitoring. And every system that ever goes out the door of Penrith Solar Centre has consumption monitoring. This is needed. This is a compulsory part, not only to make sure that your battery operates as intended, but it's a compulsory part to make sure that you are so well equipped to electrify your home in the future. How are you going to know without consumption monitoring what your appliances actually use? How are you going to know how much energy your car has taken to charge? You're not going to know. You're going to be in the dark. So that is one of the biggest and most powerful features of any system we do at Penrith Solar Centre, but especially the Powerwall 3. So this slide's a bit blurry. I do apologise. But this is outlining that this is a warranty worth having. The Tesla Powerwall 3 has a 10-year warranty. Most inverter and battery manufacturers that come to Australia, they kind of play this little bit of a warranty game. Now, it's great. We have Trevor and Jack. We have this great team. But if we don't have a manufacturer behind us that's going to support us when we need it most, the chances of your solar system getting fixed in a timely manner dramatically reduce. Now, we're always going to put our best foot forward, and that is why during our product selection process, it's important that we assess these things right here. This may not matter as much to you, but it should, and it certainly matters to us. Tesla are one of the only manufacturers that actually pays full parts and labor to replace your battery for the life of its warranty. This means that you can rest assured that if anything was to happen, we will be there as fast as possible, which we would be anyway, because every product we sell has that same guarantee. But if you're comparing this product to other cheaper batteries on the market, and I won't go through and rattle off names, but have a look at their warranty document. I bet they don't pay parts and labor and logistics to the poor installer that's going to have to come back and fix it if anything was to happen. So that is a huge advantage of the Tesla warranty. So like I said, it's a 10-year full warranty on the battery, on the inverter, on everything about the battery, except for the glass on the front. I don't think that's covered because it probably will be broken from a cricket bat or a cricket ball. I know my dad, he heard lots of cricket balls as a kid into the fence, and if he had a Powerwall 3 then, I'm sure I probably wouldn't have been allowed to bowl speed balls at the fence. But that's what the warranty covers. So this brings us to the next part of the night where we talk about government rebates. Now, again, raise your hands for who's got solar. Leave your hand up if you know you claimed a government rebate. Yeah, put your hand down if you know you claimed a rebate. Put your hand up if you're not sure if you claimed a rebate or not. Maybe your system's older. You're all pretty all over it. That's really good. So the federal government rebate, or STC scheme as we call it, what it is, it's a scheme based on the amount of kilowatts of solar panels that you install on your home. It has nothing to do with battery storage right now. That is a completely separate rebate, or it's not really a rebate, but we'll get to that shortly. But this is important because right now in 2024, the government rebate actually covers the cost of solar panels. Now, it doesn't necessarily cover the cost of the full installation of solar panels, and it might not cover the racking that you use as well. And if you used a really, really expensive solar panel, it might not cover that either. But the panels that we use at Penrith Solar, which I like to compare to the Toyota of solar panels right now, which are of course our Trina panels, they are very much covered by your STCs. So the pro tip I'm going to give you when thinking about a Powerwall 3, if you're going to do solar and battery together, is to understand the model that Penrith Solar Centre works on. Penrith Solar Centre have only in-house electricians. We don't use any subcontractors. We pay nobody by the panel. Our team are paid by the hour. In fact, they're paid by the day and the hour. Now when you buy a system off us, you buy our team at your house for a whole day. The labor cost for installing solar doesn't really change. So if you've gone through the process of buying solar for us, you would have learnt that buying 10 panels off us, it's not actually that cost effective. We can be pretty expensive in that part. But if you worked out that the best value point in our price list was 36 or 39 panels, you would have actually turned around and said we were the cheapest in the market. And we probably are at that scale. So whilst remembering the day charge and taking full advantage of that when you're thinking about solar for your home, remember that solar panels are mostly covered by the government rebate or the STC scheme in Australia right now. Now that's really, really good news, but there's bad news that comes with it too. It started in 2015 and it will only be around until 2030. The STC scheme reduces by about 1/15 every 1st of January, which means this 1st of January, it's going to reduce again. So it's going to cost another couple of $100 out of pocket for consumers like you guys to put solar on your roof. This is not a surprise. This happens every 1st of January. Now, we've all seen ads on the internet saying the rebate's going to end. It's all over. Alan Borders out there flogging cricket balls. It's crazy stuff, right? It's not going to end. You don't have to be pressured into a decision because the rebate's going to end. But it certainly does reduce every 1st of January every year until 2030 when it actually becomes nothing. It reduces until it's worth nothing. So what's the problem with that model? This is so good, right? Hand up if you ever had a 60-cent feed-in tariff on your solar system. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, right? How long did that solar system last? Still going? How many years is this? 12? 18? How many times do you reckon your money's come back? Yeah. 5 times? More? Less? Because they were more expensive then, to be fair. Yeah. And they might not perform like a newer system now. But that was seen to be like the glory days, 60 cents. But if you bought a 10 kilowatt system then, you would have paid $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for it. Now, but you made a hell of a lot of money. Like, congrats to you for making a great decision. But there is a problem. The problem is that the feed-in tariff didn't stick around. What's your feed-in tariff now? 5 cents. If you're lucky, you got 10. We had 22 cents on this factory with 100 kilowatts. We didn't have a bill. But it's reducing hand over fist. And it's not good for those who have solar only. For people with solar and battery, though, play on. It doesn't really matter. And even further for those who take advantage of virtual power plants, which Carlos is going to tell us about shortly. Virtual power plants in Australia right now in 2024 are the modern day 60-cent feed-in tariff. You heard it here first. I would really suggest that you all start looking into them. And that's why we have Carlos here tonight. But the other problem is that we've got so much solar penetration now. We're over 30% solar penetration. We're well on our way to our goal. We're producing so much energy, clean energy. It's fantastic. But the downside is the grid doesn't know what to do with it. Energy retailers are scared of it. They're losing money on it. And people are talking about solar tax. People are talking about zero exports, dynamic exports, flexible exports, exporting at different times. And guys, this is all actually coming, whether we like it or love it. I don't know that I'd call it a solar tax, but we must comply, and systems we sell must be able to adapt to these changing grid infrastructure and rules and boundaries that they set out for homeowners with solar systems. But it's not all bad news, because the New South Wales government has actually done something about it. They've done something to help mums and dads of Western Sydney get batteries on their home. For so many years, we've heard people say, I'm waiting for a battery rebate. I'm waiting until batteries get better. I'm waiting for the technology to get better. And finally, there's a push. Introducing the New South Wales Peak Demand Reduction Scheme. It kicks off in 2 days on the 1st of November 2024. Now, this scheme was announced in May this year, and let me tell you, we felt it. They announced it so early that people kind of just went, I don't know if I'm going to buy a battery. But the other thing that they did, or what they've done, which isn't really favoursome, is that the scheme is only available to people who don't have batteries. So if you were an early adopter and you actually already have a battery in your home, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the battery rebate, which is terrible news for people like myself, like my family, who obviously already have batteries on their home. Even if you just wanted to add one more on, you're not going to get this incentive or this rebate. But for those who don't have batteries and have been waiting until the time is right, here it is. So here's what has to happen for you guys to claim this battery rebate. The solar panel rebate, that's easy. We know it inside out. It's an upfront discount. We do it with our eyes closed every single day. But the battery rebate has a little more T's and C's about it. In fact, I'm not even actually supposed to call it a rebate. It's a financial incentive to reduce the demand on the grid in New South Wales. But you must have solar on your home. You can't actually just have batteries sitting there trading energy, which people do, and claim the rebate. Your home must have existing solar or new solar going on at the same time as the battery to be eligible for this battery rebate. The batteries have to meet a minimum warranty and performance eligibility criteria. I'm not going to go too deep into that because any battery you can get from Penrith Solar Centre meets the requirements. If the battery you're looking at doesn't meet the requirement, you're probably not looking at the right battery. It's heavily restricted around warranty, around performance, around expected output at the end of its life. Those are the things that the government has actually looked for when working out what battery is going to make the cut and what battery is not. The battery rebate is available for anything between 2 kilowatt hours of storage all the way up to 28 kilowatt hours of storage. This means you could do 2 Powerwall 3s and claim the rebate. If you were to do 3 at once and take your total storage out to 42-ish kilowatt hours or 40.5, you actually don't get the rebate. You don't get it on any of it, which is a bit of a problem for those who think they might want to do 3 batteries. The workaround is that you can actually install your first 2 batteries and then come back and do the third one on a later date. Now, it's a bit of a grey area, but disappointingly, if you were to do 3, you would not be able to claim the rebate for the first 2 batteries. So keep that in your mind when you're planning battery storage for your home. Now, the other part of this peak demand reduction scheme, and I guess let's talk a little bit about the dollars. Now, Carlos is about to do a presentation and he's going to tell you that you're going to get about $1,700 for a Powerwall 3. It's actually kind of up to us what you get. And I know that sounds funny, but it's a market. It's a fluctuating market based off things called perks. Perks are traded, people buy them. It's a supply and demand market. Right now, we're predicting that perks are going to be worth about $2 each, but that could dramatically fall. Now, don't get yourselves in a game of forky-knifey with a company who's going to tell you that your rebate is going to be decided after your solar's installed and it comes to trading time. Most reputable companies, including us, we're going to give you a fixed price up front. We're actually kicking that price off at $2,000. Now, that's not actually me being a hero. We don't really know what this price is until we start trading the first few of them. Once we start trading them and we see how this market reacts, then we'll have a really good true indication as to whether this rebate is going to stay where it is or whether the supply and demand is actually going to crush the market and reduce it dramatically. It's actually quite a risky thing to do. The solar STCs, they do exactly the same thing. When most of you bought your solar, if you bought it in the last 2 years, you probably would have got about $38.50 per STC. In 2018 though, I got caught with a heap of STCs, not for any particular reason, we just used to trade them weekly, not daily, and they fell overnight from $38 each to $17. It's a risky game. You guys, as homeowners and people just trying to do the right thing, do not want to carry the risk of this. Now that's my advice. It's not actually financial advice. It's do as you please. You can keep them yourself and trade them yourself. But there's not much upside to it. If I were you, I wouldn't wear that risk and I would do it as an upfront discount is what I would actually do. So that's what's called, that part of the battery rebate is called BESS 1. Now there's another part of the battery rebate called BESS 2. BESS 2 is when you connect your battery to what's called a virtual power plant. Now, I'm not going to go into virtual power plants right now. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Carlos Garcia onto the stage. Carlos, if you could come up for us, mate. Give him a round of applause. Carlos is actually from Amber. We've all seen Amber as an energy retailer, an ethical energy retailer who keeps other energy retailers honest and certainly on their toes. So Carlos, take us away. Talk us through what you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming today. Pleased to be here. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Amber Electric. So I guess just maybe a couple of steps back before we take a step forward in terms of PDRS or peak demand reduction scheme. So I guess the reason the New South Wales government is offering up some money is to really People turn on air conditioners, people will start charging their cars if they've got electric cars. There's a lot of demand in the grid, and typically solar is starting to kind of taper off a little bit. And so you're actually more reliant on the grid, or if you've got a battery, there's an advantage there. So the whole idea behind the scheme that's coming up starting in 2 days' time is to try and reduce that demand in the grid of what happens between roughly 4 and 8 p.m. And so what we do at Amber is, I guess we're a little bit like a VPP. We sometimes call ourselves a VPP when it suits us, but we'll jump into a little bit in terms of what a VPP can do. But what I might do is just tell you very briefly, elevator pitch in terms of what Amber is. A lot of you, when you looked into solar, it sounds like most of you in the room here have got a solar system already. Probably the reason you got into solar, or you started looking into solar, is because your electricity retailer you felt you weren't happy with, they were charging you too much, they weren't passing on the discounts across to you, and you wanted to be as far removed from that electricity retailer as possible. And now, a few 2, 3, 5, 10 years on from having a solar system installed, you're probably back with very similar retailers offering you dwindling feed-in tariffs and still charging you through the roof. Year on year, those prices are going up. So what Amber Electric does is we're an electricity retailer, but we're a little bit disruptive. We're 100% Australian owned, and what we do is give our customers access to wholesale prices without any markup. So we pass through every cost that you see on your electricity bill is passed through at cost. No profit made from us. The only charge that we have is a $22 a month fee that allows you to access those wholesale charges. Essentially what the big guys do, the gen tailors, so your likes of Origin and AGL, and some of those guys essentially do a hedge, a little bit like what Jake was saying with STCs. They take some of that risk, and they say, right, on every single charge that's on your bill, we're going to charge you a little bit more. That's how they make their money. So what we do is we basically give you access to wholesale prices, so that every 30 minutes that price changes based on the demand in the grid. So typically in the middle of the day when there's lots of solar around, you could be paying from as little as 0 cents a kilowatt hour up to maybe 5 or 10 cents a kilowatt hour. But in those peak demand periods, when there's more demand in the grid and there's more people needing power, those prices go up. And so the advantage of having a battery is that then you can shield yourself against those price spikes that we might call them, and you can actually save that money by using the power in the battery to power your home. But what a VPP does, and I guess what Amber Electric does, is we optimize your battery. We take control of your battery so that you're still using your power in the home, but that little bit of excess power that you've maybe got a 10 kilowatt hour battery, you maybe got a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery that you're considering, you might use in that kind of 4 to 8 p.m. period, you might use 3 kilowatt hours. So you've still got 10 kilowatt hours sitting in the battery that might see you go through until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. But the opportunity there is in that peak demand period where you could be making money from your battery and exporting that power to the grid at a very high cost. And all of that cost you're putting that power into the grid goes straight into your pocket, not into like the big retailers' pockets. So essentially what we do is we buy cheap when the power is plentiful, either from your solar system or from the grid. If it's a cloudy, overcast day, your battery's not getting charged, we'll make sure that your battery's charged. And when the prices are high, we'll sell that power for you and we'll pass all of the benefits straight back to you, the customer. So some of these screenshots you can see here, we don't make these up. That's people that are making, on the right-hand side here, $61 in a single day from having a battery installed. So some of the pushback, like you might be spending a fair amount of money on installing a solar and battery system. It's not the cheapest thing you can do for your home in terms of upgrading, but it pays itself off over time. But I guess what a traditional VPP or a virtual power plant does is quite often is you install the system, you install a beautiful, nice new battery, and your traditional retailer, we won't name names again because I think it's being recorded, is going to take control of your battery, and he's going to say, well, we might pay you $200 a year to have access to your battery, but guess what? We're going to, whenever we need the power, we're going to take that power from your battery and we're going to drain it all out. Benefit is to the retailer, not to you. So it's almost like buying a brand new car and saying, hey, you can take the keys for the car whenever you want, take it for a spin, it's all yours. I don't mind. You're giving me $200 to rent my battery space. Sounds okay? Maybe not. Customers with a Tesla Powerwall and, we jumped a little bit further. Customers with a Tesla Powerwall, for example, 6.6 kilowatt system in New South Wales, typically in a year, will be making somewhere in the region between $400 and $600 on top of what you would normally do with a standard retail plan. So it gives you an idea of the profits that some of the bigger guys are actually making from just having access to your battery and taking that power when you need it. A lot of you here may have bought a battery or thinking about a battery in terms of backup power. What if there's a storm? What if there's a flood? What if there's a power outage? What if power lines go down? I want access to my battery. Well, guess what? If you're on a traditional VPP, they could be like, oh, well, there's a storm coming. There's a lot of demand in the grid. Let's drain your battery. You have no control over that. But what we actually do is we give you almost like a remote control for your battery. So we can integrate with your battery, and you can say, hey, there's a storm coming. I don't want you to take any charge from my battery. Or you could say, well, it's Saturday night, the footy's on. I'm inviting a bunch of mates over. We're going to be, I'm going to do a big slow cook in the oven. I'm going to need as much power from the oven as possible. Don't take the power from my battery. And very easily you can go into our app. It's super intuitive, and you can say, hey, just preserve the charge because I'm going to need it for me. You might know something that we don't know about what your usage pattern is going to be like. Similarly, you could be away on holiday. We wouldn't know that you're away on holiday. And you could be like, well, hey, there's no one home. You can basically take as much power as you want because we're not there. I want you to make as much money as you can from my battery. So you can say, discharge my battery. So we give you the controls through the app to enable you to be in control of your battery, be in control of your power, and make more money, essentially, that goes straight back into your pocket as opposed to straight back into your traditional retailer's pockets. So like I said, we talk about buy low, sell high. So we give you access to wholesale prices. So sometimes that could mean in the middle of the day, you're actually getting paid to use power. Sometimes we see wholesale prices go below 0 cents a kilowatt hour. So if you're charging your EV in the middle of the day, and you could be getting paid 5 cents a kilowatt hour to charge your car. When price spikes happen, which they do in New South Wales in the last 12 months, we've probably seen around about 20 price spikes. What we determine as a price spike is when it goes above $3 a kilowatt hour. And we see sometimes that it goes up to 14, 15, sometimes up to $19 a kilowatt hour. So if you've got 10 kilowatt hours dispatchable, you're using 3 in your home, and you're getting paid $19 a kilowatt hour, that's $190 you could make from your battery in one single day. So the opportunity is there. Let's put it into context. At my house, I've got a 7 kilowatt system. I've got a 10 kilowatt hour battery. We're a family of 4. We drive an EV. And the most I've made in one day, even from a smaller 10 kilowatt hour battery, is $151. So it works. It works for me. It can work for you. It works for a lot of our customers. We have somewhere in the region of 9,000 batteries and devices that we control across the eastern states of Australia. A little bit of a plug. I thought Tesla's here. Let's talk a little about EVs. A couple of you have got a Tesla car. I've got a Tesla car as well. I guess included in that kind of subscription fee that we offer to give you access to wholesale prices to optimize your battery to make more money from your investment is we also have Amber for EVs. So this gives you the opportunity to either charge your car, electric vehicle, at the moment just with Tesla Model 3, Model Y, the S and the X, to charge your car from excess solar. You can also make decisions based on how much you're willing to pay for charging your car, based on, well, if my alternative was I have to go to a public charging station and that's going to charge me 60 cents, I'm willing to pay up to, I don't know, 40 cents a kilowatt hour to charge my car. So you can put these parameters in through the app, and you can take control in terms of what you want to do in terms of your charging profile. And there isn't an additional charge from us to do this. This application is available now for our existing customers. I think we have around 500 customers using this right now across the eastern seaboard. So we touched a little bit in terms of the value stack. Obviously, we like to be a little bit conservative when we're talking numbers. But essentially, I didn't have the right image because Tesla hasn't released official images for the Powerwall 3, so apologies. We've got a Powerwall 2 over there. But essentially, the rebate that's coming in on Friday is a two-part rebate, as Jake said. So the first part is the best one. So that's going to see you, for a Tesla Powerwall 13.5 kilowatts, it's based on the size or the kilowatt hours of the battery, is going to see you get about $1,700. When you sign up to Amber as a customer, we'll give you a $30 credit. And then as the second part of the rebate that the New South Wales government is offering is for joining a VPP. We class ourselves as a VPP in this instance. And so for a Powerwall 3, when you join up with Amber, the government will also offer you $195 as an incentive for joining a virtual power plant. So the upside is in terms of this, when we go back to peak demand reduction. So yes, if you're installing a battery, you're going to reduce the demand in the grid. But if you go onto a VPP, you're not only reducing the demand in the grid, you're also actually putting something back into the grid to help reduce that demand for other people. But you're going to get paid for it, and you're going to get paid for it more from a company like Amber than you are from arguably any other retailer that's available in the market. So that's it from me. I'm going to pass back to Jake, and he's going to step you through a few more bits.
Awesome, Carlos, mate. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming. Cheers. Thank you. Carlos has been a good industry friend of mine for quite some time, so it's an absolute privilege to have you on stage here with us tonight, Carlos. Thank you. So Amber, guys, is they're changing energy retailer. They are changing how it's done. There aren't that many, this best two, there are actually only, I think, 6 energy retailers that comply or meet the criteria to be part of best two. And to be clear, best two is not actually an upfront discount as well. Best one is an upfront discount, which we give to you on point of sale. Best two is actually when you sign up to the VPP, you will claim that yourself and they will direct debit that into your bank account yourself. So I thought I'd take the opportunity, just a little bit of bragging, if I'm really honest. Last week, and it's a bit of a kudos and a shout out to my team, last week we were fortunate enough to win the EUPD Awards down in Melbourne, which is a European Research and Development Association. They give awards to the top performing solar panel manufacturers, battery manufacturers and installation companies across the globe. And we were lucky enough to win that, as well as, of course, Enphase Installer of the Year for the 4th year running. So congratulations to my team. Thank you, guys. I'm lucky to be the one that gets to have the photos with it, but I'm telling you now, the work that these guys do day in, day out, it makes my job so easy. So thank you. We also, whilst talking about Tesla on tonight, if you have a look at some plaques up on the table, in 2023 and 2024, we have won Installation Excellence Awards for Powerwall 3. You can buy this Powerwall 3 from so many places, from so many different people. But I'm telling you, like I said earlier, hand on my heart, there will be no team of tradesmen and apprentices that come to your house and take pride in their work like my team, like the team that we have here at Penrith Solar Centre. From the beginning, from the design, from the care that we take, from doing the quote, doing the proposal, and making sure it actually fits your needs, we will always be there. We will always show up. We never shy away. It can be years later. You can ring for after-sales service, and we are here. We've been here for 10 years now. We'll be here for another 10. We have a 17-year lease on this building. I'm 32 years old. I probably shop at the same shopping centre as you. I don't want to be shopping at Coles with my son, who's currently 2, and see one of you guys at the shops and you say, Jake, you stuffed me, and throw an avocado at me. That would be the most humiliating thing of my entire life. I've lived in Penrith my whole life, and I will live in Penrith for a lot longer. And that is what we stand for, and that is how I hope you guys feel. Now, the gift that keeps on giving. Who's seen this car down here, this Tesla Model 3 Highland, that could be one of your cars. We are actually giving that car away. So we are running a competition at the moment. Just to give you a quick update, it's a core flute sign competition. You just have to have a core flute sign in your front yard and opt in. That's all it is. Now, today we gave away second prize, which was actually 2 N-phase batteries, but the client already had a Tesla Powerwall, so we just gave him another Tesla Powerwall, right? Now, we gave away $5,000 cash to one lucky person from the Blue Mountains. Today, the batteries went to a homeowner in Jamison Town. It could not have gotten any closer. There is first prize left. It is on the 18th of December, and it is that exact Tesla Model 3 right now. We hustled up the troops, went to our suppliers and said, hey, we want to do this. And very, very similar to the battery hanging from the roof and the solar panels on the roof that say Penrith Solar Centre, everyone said I was crazy until I drove the Tesla car into the showroom. And then everyone realized I wasn't joking. So that car there can be one of yours. And all you have to do is be a client of Penrith Solar Centre. If you're already a client of Penrith Solar Centre, make sure that you're registered and make sure that you've got your core flute signs in your front yard. They're not a big sign. They're actually quite tiny. But yeah, have a look at the car, have a feel of it. It is a beautiful, well-refined work of art is what it is. I mean, it even has a whoopee cushion in there. You can turn it on when you have indicators. It does all sorts of cool stuff. For those with partners, it's got romance mode. You can turn a little heater on, sit there and sit under a fire. The possibilities are endless. And similar to all Tesla products, it gets better day by day. Sometimes you'll wake up, you'll go to your car, and it's had a software update. And it's a completely different vehicle to what it was yesterday. Not completely different, but it's better. And you'll find the same with Powerwall as well. The features and benefits just keep on getting better and better. Stormwatch on the Powerwall app is always improving. And there are so many features that you just wake up and think, man, I didn't even pay for that. There's not many products that you can buy that actually do continue to get better with time. Similar to there's not many companies you can buy them from that will continue to give back to their clients like what we do, giving away cars. So let's talk about the pricing. I know you all want to know how much this costs. Powerwall 2, we retailed for $14,990. Powerwall 3 is going to retail for $15,990. This is before the PDRS scheme. Powerwall 3 plus solar is $23,990. Remember what I said earlier about if you buy a system off us, you have us for a day of labor, and the rebate covers panels. You can get anywhere from around 6 kilowatts to 18 kilowatts depending on what DNSP you're in and if you're single phase or 3-phase for $23,990. It's a fixed price and it is so cheap for solar and battery. In fact, it's so cheap that we're seeing return on investment of around 5 to 5.5 years right now. We have never seen solar and battery combined be any less than 7 to 8. The PDRS scheme is going to bring that price down for battery only to $13,990. That is less than what we actually retailed Powerwall 2 for and what the rest of the market did as well. It's going to bring down the price for solar and battery to $21,990 as well, which does truly bring that return on investment in that 5-year mark. Solar and battery, 5-year ROI. I want to break that down for you and just show you exactly what that looks like. Hand up right now if your power bills are $1,000 a quarter or more, or $350 a month or more. Hand up, nice and high. Awesome, quite a few of you. Hand up if they're $500 or more a quarter. Yep, some of you don't have power bills. $450, a quarter a month? Quarter, yep, awesome. So I've done this off what we see as our average power bill that we see at Penrith Solar Centre. Quarterly power bill of $1,000, which makes your annual power bill about $4,000. Over 10 years, you are going to spend $40,000 on electricity, whether you like it or you love it. This equation is, of course, done for those who don't have solar already. What's the price when you realize after 10 years you've just rented your electricity for 40 grand? It's not good. The alternative to that is of course Powerwall 3 and solar. Now we've done our average PV size on this, which is 12 kilowatts. Keep in mind that you can get anywhere between 6 to 18 kilowatts for the same price, depending on your roof and everything else. Your new quarterly power bill, and this is just going off a very standard energy retailer price. I haven't supercharged it with VPP. I haven't attached it to Amber. I've just done run-of-the-mill numbers like what you see off a very everyday power bill. Your new quarterly bill is going to be about $90. Now, I'd love to tell you it's going to be zero, but I probably shouldn't. It could be zero, depends how you use it. $90 is a conservative day charge which has been left in your power bill. Your new annual power bill is around $360, and your new 10-year power bill is $3,600. Your initial investment was $21,990, and your annual savings is $3,640, which was high 5-year return on investment. Owning your own power plant, priceless. You've not rented your energy. You own an asset, something that is going to grow with you and your family over time, something that's going to get better every day, something you can be proud of. Remember I was talking about that decision-making process earlier and thinking about these micro decisions that you make on a daily basis? Are you going to sit on your hands any further? Or are you going to lean into this opportunity that not only the federal government's given us, but the state government's laid on a platter as well? Powerwall 3 is here. It's a new battery. If Powerwall 2 was around for 7 years, how long will Powerwall 3 be around for? What's it look like in 10 years' time? Have you spent 40 grand on electricity? We've been streaming live on YouTube, and thanks to those who have watched on YouTube. But the deal is that you had to be here tonight if you wanted the deal of a lifetime. So thanks for coming. Let me know when you're done, Dan. Right.